What's good, you guys? Back with another reaction for today. We have a new trailer from the studio known as A24. The movie is called Civil War. Let's get into it.
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Oh, I wasn't expecting this
Citizens of America.
at
The
all.
so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
Wow.
They're moving to D.C. today.
We need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death.
Bloody.
Every time I survived a war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't.
Wow, this is way more intense than I
Here we
expected.
are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car!
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not.
Oh my
hanging
gosh, this looks fire.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
Wow. Holy. Wow. Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. I saw A24 and I instantly thought, okay, we're getting a horror movie, but not that type of horror. The horror of war is probably the worst horror of all. Okay, so as I just said a moment ago, completely surprised. Once again, guys, I always watch these trailers, have zero expectations going into them, especially when it's a new IP. And as we know, A24, they, as far as I know, they don't do sequels. They just keep launching original content at us. But traditionally, they do a lot of horror. And I saw the title Civil War, and I thought maybe it was some cryptic way of talking about horror, but this is as simple as the horror of war and the idea of the war happening right here at home. Like maybe many of you guys, I live in the United States as well, and I'm just gonna say this with no, obviously there's a political tone to this movie. Clearly politics are part of what trigger war, as we can see in the world that we live today. But by no means am I trying to make a political statement when I say this, but one of the greatest advantages the United States has tactically is the fact that the geography of the United States helps prevent a two-sided war. On one side of the United States, you have the Atlantic Ocean. On the other side, you have the Pacific Ocean. And the United States strategically puts its allies in a position where if there were to be an attack on the United States, you would either have to fly over Europe, which is where NATO is, a lot of our allies, or you would have to fly over the Pacific Ocean, which would lead you to pass Alaska or Hawaii, which by the time you reach stateside, we would be fully armed and prepared for whatever attack may happen. Now, and I could be completely wrong about all this, but it makes the idea of the United States losing in a war without it being an absolute catastrophe or a world-ending event seem very unlikely. And the only other ways to get into the United States is through the Caribbean, which we saw with the Cuban Missile Crisis would not end well for a lot of people. if the trigger is pulled, or via Mexico or Canada, which we are very close allies of because our interests are intertwined. I say all that to say that if the United States were to lose a war, it would be us. We would do it to ourselves, which, as we can see in some of the political climates of the world, it's very capable of happening. And I'm saying all these things not just to give you my opinion or my short-sighted, I'm just some guy. I'm not a political liaison. I am not a part of the Pentagon. I know nothing. I can simply just look at a map and speculate. But the idea of a civil war, a modern civil war in the United States, especially with some of the things that we see on TV or every time we pick up the phone, it seems very far off, but a movie like this makes it real. And the real reason I wanted to set that stage with everything I just said is because we just saw a movie release on Netflix starring Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, I always say his name wrong, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon. And the name of the movie, I had to look it up just to make sure I got it right, was Leave the World Behind. And ironically enough, this movie was produced by former President Barack Obama. Now, if you are about to dive into my comment section to talk about politics, I'm gonna be the first one to let you know, listen to me very clearly. Put the captions on, whatever you need to do to understand what I'm about to say to you. Are you ready? I don't care. We're talking about a movie, a hypothetical movie right now. So before you get in my comments and get all super political, I don't care. We don't do that here. This is not a political channel. Tune into NBC, BBC, Fox News. If you want to get your ish off in the comment section, go there. We just talk about movies here. So if your comment isn't relevant to movies or like this type of movie, then shoot. I don't care if you like or don't like Obama. But I say the reason I bring up the fact is that movie, if you haven't seen it, it is about the idea of what it would look like for a modern empire or a modern country to self-collapse and the stages that it would have to go through for that to happen. So I find it kind of ironic that going into a election year, that first we get that movie where we see the United States collapse, and then now we're getting a Civil War movie in the United States, seeing the world, the United States self-implode. I don't know. I just think movies, I think the irony in that, like you have Netflix and A24 who don't work together conveniently produce these movies at the same time. I don't know how Hollywood works. Now, if you want to tell me how that works, feel free to give me some of the tea. But it's like, how convenient is it that two of these types of movies are coming out going into an election year? And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like another Purge movie or something too. Because the idea of this, of a fight on US soil, a real war in America, is true horror. And once again, I don't want to get in too much into politics. It's hard not to with a trailer like this, but we've seen the horrors of war. You can pick up your phone and look across the world. We are in very difficult times, and we see the cost of war for average people every day when we pick up our phone, what that means and how that absolutely destroys our lives regardless of what side. And the idea that that can happen here in America has always been so distant to us, but the reality is, if it were to happen, it would happen amongst ourselves. And this trailer really shows us that in a lot of different layers.
Assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
And then, you know, here are the different ways, like it, and it's very similar to some things we already see in America today. And once again, I know this is a very thin line. I'm towing the line right now of politics and film, which they can coexist. But, you know, here's an example of a war is happening. There are people who are just completely blissfully aware, going about their lives.
Pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
And here we go.
Try to stay out.
We just stay out of it. None of our business. It'll take care of itself. When in reality, that is happening to people in their lives. And A24, I gotta give it to A24. They bodied that idea. They bodied that with this trailer. That yeah, even though it's not happening in the United States, it's happening, and we turn a blind eye to it. When in reality, this is what's happening to people. This is what's happening to people's lives. And it could easily happen to you or us. And that is the fear. That's why I'm looking at this like, maybe this is a horror movie. Maybe A24 did it again.
Of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
The lies that the media tells, because in this portion of the trailer, you have the president telling you that the Western Front, which sounds like, and I didn't even mean to get into a trailer breakdown, but the Western Front, which would mean California and Texas, has lost to the U.S. military. But later in the trailer, clearly they have not.
At the hands of the United States military.
The lies, and she's sitting in her living room. Does that look like we've won?
Mr. President, do you
28 days later, oh yeah, they're gonna get into this.
American citizens.
Airstrikes. This is what happens during war. And look at that. I'm just maybe I could probably go on and on with this trailer, guys. As you can see, I'm ready to jump off the desk here. But I think the symbolism in this frame alone, bombs going off across the street from a church with a billboard that says Jesus saves. We are our own demise. We are our own demise individually and as societies. And if world history repeats itself, which it tends to, if there were to be a point in history that the United States empire, we don't call ourselves an empire, were to collapse, it is very likely that it would be internally. Because once again, that stage, just imagine that stage that I said earlier. Yes, we're not invulnerable to be invaded by another country. All I'm saying is it would be very messy, and the benefit of another country invading us would outweigh the good. There are the ratio of people to guns in the United States is 3-to-1. For every United States citizen, there are 3 guns. That is done intentionally, because even if our military were to fall and another country were to invade us, now you have to fight American citizens who have, for their 300 million citizens and 1 billion guns. Even if you defeat the military, that is an absolute mess, and no one wins that war. So I say all that to say, if we were to lose, very much like that movie that I spoke about earlier, it's called Leave the World Behind. I'd suggest you go check that out. If we were to lose, it would probably be best done with no one attacking us at all and just leaving us to our own demise, which I think a lot of these is the overarching narrative in all these movies. So I went down a conspiracy rabbit hole. Once again, guys, I don't care about your political position. I don't care who you're voting for. I don't care who you didn't vote for. I am solely talking about this movie. And if you want to share your thoughts on this movie and this trailer, maybe you feel the same way I do. Maybe you disagree and you have a different perspective on this movie, not politics, this movie. Let me know in the comments below. But are you looking forward to this one? Does this one looks like another great bomb from A24, and I believe that's Kristen Dunst, right? I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but this one looks like it's gonna have a very powerful performance, and A24 seems like they're up to their usual work again. So if you're looking forward to this one, let me know. If you enjoy this reaction, definitely feel free to hit a like. Subscribe if you want to stick around for more reactions. I also do video game reactions, game playthroughs, and I'm probably going to do some reviews for both movies and games on the way as well. So it'll be like a content hub here on the channel. If you want to hang out for that, feel free to do so. But until the next video, guys, appreciate you all. Peace. Thanks for letting me share my unfiltered thoughts. See you guys in the next one.